Your life is built on four pillars: your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind. If one collapses, the others follow. The words you speak, the energy you carry, the choices you make with your resources, and the thoughts you entertain, these invisible forces shape your visible reality. The question is, are you controlling them, or are they controlling you? The universe listens more carefully than most people ever realize. Every word you speak carries a vibration, and that vibration builds the experiences you encounter. Life does not respond to your wishes alone, it responds to the energy of your words. When you declare defeat, you invite defeat. When you declare victory, you invite opportunities that lead you toward it. Words are not just sounds, they are commands to the unseen forces that shape reality. Consider how easily a careless phrase can change the atmosphere of a room. A harsh word can pierce deeper than a blade, and an encouraging word can lift a weary heart from despair. This is the power of language. What flows out of your mouth has the power to create harmony or to stir chaos. Some people speak curses over their own lives without even knowing it. They say, "I can't, I never, I'll always struggle," and then wonder why the same patterns follow them year after year. Their speech is planting seeds, and the harvest reflects the words they sowed. When you begin to understand that words are seeds, you grow cautious about what you plant. If you desire abundance, you must speak abundance. If you desire healing, you must speak healing. If you long for peace, your tongue must align with peace. The mouth is not a tool for empty chatter. It is the brush with which you paint the canvas of your destiny. Too often, people speak in frustration, forgetting that words released cannot be pulled back. The echo of what you say continues to move long after the sound fades. The truth is that your subconscious listens to every word you say about yourself. If you constantly speak of limitation, your mind will build walls around your possibilities. But when you speak of freedom, of growth, of divine alignment, your mind begins to search for ways to make it so. Your words instruct your mind, and your mind instructs your life. This is why it is not enough to think positively in silence. You must speak it, declare it, and let your own ears hear it until it becomes your reality. It is wise to remember that your words also have influence beyond yourself. They shape your relationships, your reputation, and your environment. If you are known for words of encouragement, doors open more easily because people are drawn to your energy. If you are known for criticism and complaint, doors close quietly because no one desires to carry that weight. Words can either build bridges or erect walls. The choice is always in your control. There is a discipline in pausing before speaking, in measuring the weight of your words. Silence is not weakness, it is power under control. Sometimes the greatest demonstration of strength is holding back what could wound and choosing instead to release what can heal. Words spoken in haste often bring regret, while words chosen with care have the power to create legacies. A single phrase can be remembered for a lifetime, and what you say today may echo for years in the hearts of others. Even in prayer, in affirmations, and in declarations of faith, words play the central role. They align you with the unseen currents of possibility. To say, "I am blessed, I am guided, I am worthy," is to summon that reality toward you. The spoken word is a magnet, pulling experiences that match its vibration. Every time you affirm the good, you reinforce the path toward it. Every time you affirm the negative, you create obstacles that need not exist. Life listens. Your words are not forgotten in the air. They are recorded in the energy of your being. Speak life, and life will respond. Speak defeat, and defeat will answer. This is why wisdom has always taught that the tongue is sharper than any weapon, for it can cut down dreams or carve out a future of victory. You cannot speak one thing and expect another. What leaves your mouth is what enters your world. There is strength in restraint, a quiet authority that grows when one learns the art of silence. The world often mistakes noise for influence, but true influence is not found in constant chatter. It is found in the pauses, in the measured words that are released only when necessary. Silence is not weakness. It is the hidden discipline that shields you from battles unworthy of your energy. It is the wisdom of knowing that not every thought needs to become a word, and not every opinion needs to be shared. When you hold your tongue, you protect your energy. Every word that leaves your mouth is an expenditure of power. To waste words on anger, gossip, or meaningless arguments is to scatter your strength into the wind. But to preserve your words, to speak only when it uplifts, clarifies, or directs, is to gather your energy into focus. Silence conserves power the way a dam conserves water, and when the right moment comes, the release of your words carries more weight and force. In silence, clarity is born. Many people speak quickly, without reflection, and later regret the harm their words have caused. But silence grants you the space to observe, to understand, and to choose wisely. In that pause, you see beyond the surface of a situation. You recognize what truly matters and what does not deserve your attention. Silence allows wisdom to rise where impulsive speech would have created chaos. Not every thought is meant to escape into the world. The mind produces endless ideas, judgments, and reactions, but not all of them are worthy of expression. To voice every fleeting thought is to live without filter, and a life without filter becomes a life without direction. Some thoughts are only temporary storms within the mind. If you release them into words, they may do permanent damage. Silence teaches discernment, the discipline to hold back until your words are refined enough to create, not destroy. Silence also has the power to disarm conflict. When anger meets silence, it has nowhere to go. Arguments thrive on reaction, but when you choose silence, you refuse to feed the fire. Silence is not surrender, it is strategy. It allows emotions to cool, and often it reveals the foolishness of the one who insists on noise. In a world where everyone wants the last word, silence is the mark of true mastery. The most profound lessons are often learned in stillness. In silence, you can hear the whisper of intuition. In silence, the voice of guidance becomes clear. The noise of the world drowns out inner wisdom, but the quiet soul receives answers that the busy mind misses. To cultivate silence is to cultivate connection to yourself, to truth, and to the greater order that governs life. Those who understand the power of silence also understand timing. They know when to speak and when to hold back. They know that words spoken too early fall flat, and words spoken too late lose their impact. But words spoken at the right moment, after silence has prepared them, strike with precision. Such words are remembered, for they are not wasted, they are weighted with meaning. Silence is not emptiness, it is fullness contained. It carries dignity, strength, and control. It shields you from exposing weakness, from revealing too much, and from giving others the power to misuse your words. To remain silent when provoked is a victory over the self. To remain silent when tempted to boast is a triumph of humility. To remain silent when others expect noise is to command respect without lifting a sound. Guard your tongue, for careless speech invites unnecessary battles. The tongue is small, yet it carries the power to build peace or to stir war. Words are not light, they are heavy with consequence. Careless speech has started conflicts that lasted years, destroyed friendships, and torn families apart. What seems like a fleeting remark can plant a seed of offense that grows into division. To guard your tongue is to guard your future, for the wrong word spoken at the wrong time can create storms that were never meant to be faced. Many battles in life are not caused by enemies, but by the words spoken in haste. A sharp reply, a sarcastic comment, or an unnecessary criticism can open doors to strife that could have remained closed. Words once spoken cannot be pulled back. They travel beyond your control, shaping how others see you and how they respond to you. A moment of thoughtless speech may take only seconds, but the damage it causes can take years to repair. Silence, patience, and restraint save you from wars that do not need to exist. Guarding your tongue requires self-awareness. Before speaking, ask yourself, will these words build or break? Will they bring clarity or confusion? Will they invite peace or conflict? To speak without reflection is to walk blindly into battlefields you never intended to enter. Wisdom does not demand that you remain silent forever, but that you speak only with purpose, with clarity, and with intention. The guarded tongue is not restrained by fear, but guided by discernment. Careless speech not only harms others, but also weakens you. When you lash out in anger, you reveal your lack of control. When you gossip, you expose your own insecurity. When you argue needlessly, you show that your energy is scattered. Each careless word is a surrender of dignity. But when you guard your tongue, you demonstrate mastery over yourself. The one who controls their speech is not easily provoked, and that composure is a shield against unnecessary battles. It is often pride that pushes the tongue into conflict. The need to have the last word, to prove a point, or to defend every opinion leads to arguments that waste time and drain energy. Not every challenge requires an answer. Not every insult deserves a reply. The wise know that silence can win where words only escalate. To guard your tongue is to refuse to be baited into fights that steal your peace. Guarding your tongue also means guarding your relationships. Trust is built on words, and trust is broken by words. A careless insult can linger in someone's memory long after it leaves your lips. A thoughtless remark can fracture bonds that took years to form. But words of encouragement, spoken with care, strengthen the ties of loyalty and love. Every relationship you value is protected or endangered by how well you guard your speech. Even within yourself, the tongue must be guarded. The words you speak about your own life create the atmosphere in which you live. If you constantly speak failure, you invite battles with doubt and despair. If you speak lack, you invite battles with fear and anxiety. But when you guard your tongue and choose words of faith, hope, and abundance, you fortify your spirit against the struggles of the world. What you declare becomes the climate of your inner life, and careless declarations invite storms you could avoid. To guard the tongue is to choose peace over pride, wisdom over impulse, and clarity over confusion. It is to recognize that every word is either a weapon or a shield, and the choice belongs to you. The guarded tongue spares you from unnecessary wars, protects the bonds you cherish, and aligns your life with harmony rather than conflict. A calm mood attracts solutions, while anger multiplies problems. There is a quiet strength in calmness that anger can never possess. When the storms of life rise, it is not the loudest voice or the quickest reaction that finds the way forward. It is the steady spirit, the composed heart, the mind that does not rush to chaos. Calmness carries clarity, and clarity reveals the path to resolution. Anger, on the other hand, clouds the vision. It blinds reason, fuels mistakes, and takes small issues and makes them grow into mountains. A calm mood is like still water, reflecting things as they truly are. In that stillness, the mind can observe with wisdom and make choices that lead to peace. But when anger takes over, the waters are disturbed and everything appears distorted. What could have been solved with patience becomes complicated by harsh words, impulsive actions, and regrets that cannot be undone. Calmness allows you to respond, while anger pushes you to react, and reactions rarely bring peace. Every problem carries within it the seed of its own solution, but anger blocks the vision to see it. The one who stays calm has access to creativity, resourcefulness, and intuition. They can listen, analyze, and discover answers that others miss. Anger, however, narrows perception. It feeds on blame, fuels division, and drives a person into battles that waste energy instead of resolving the issue. This is why those who remain calm in the face of adversity often rise as leaders, for their composure opens doors that anger would have slammed shut. Anger is costly. It damages health, strains relationships, and destroys opportunities. It multiplies problems because it never arrives alone. It brings with it regret, misunderstanding, and conflict. A moment of anger can undo years of progress, while a moment of calm can prevent years of struggle. When you hold your mood steady, you protect not only your peace, but also your future. Calmness attracts harmony, while anger summons chaos. Calmness is not passivity, it is power under control. It does not mean you ignore problems or accept injustice. It means you approach challenges with strength that is measured, not scattered. A calm person can speak firmly without shouting, act decisively without rushing, and correct situations without creating unnecessary battles. Calmness communicates authority, while anger communicates instability. People trust and follow the one who can keep their spirit steady when everything else shakes. Anger multiplies problems because it feeds on itself. The more you dwell on it, the more reasons it finds to exist. It grows from a spark into a flame, and from a flame into a fire that consumes peace of mind. Calmness, however, diffuses tension. It takes the same energy that anger wastes and turns it into focus. With calmness, what looks impossible begins to unravel into steps that can be taken. With anger, what was simple becomes tangled beyond recognition. Life often tests your mood more than your ability. Two people can face the same challenge, and one, in anger, will stumble into greater problems, while the other, in calmness, will find the way through. This is because solutions are not found in noise, but in stillness. Calmness attracts cooperation, ideas, and opportunities. Anger pushes them away. Calmness builds bridges, while anger burns them. A calm mood is a shield. It protects your health, guards your words, and guides your decisions. It invites wisdom to speak where anger would only shout. It draws solutions toward you because it aligns your spirit with peace, and peace is always the soil where answers grow. Anger multiplies problems because it sows chaos, and chaos only produces more of itself. But the calm spirit, unshaken and steady, becomes a magnet for resolution, clarity, and victory. Self-control is the highest form of strength. True strength is not measured in muscles, wealth, or influence. It is measured in the ability to govern oneself. Self-control is the quiet power that separates those who are ruled by impulse from those who rule their own destiny. It is the discipline to say no when temptation whispers, the patience to wait when impatience urges you forward, and the wisdom to remain steady when emotions threaten to overthrow reason. To master the self is to master the foundation upon which all other victories are built. Many can conquer others, but few can conquer themselves. The battle within is always greater than the battle without. It is easier to fight an enemy you can see than to fight desires, impulses, and thoughts that rise from within. Yet, it is this inner battle that determines whether you rise or fall. Self-control is not about suppression, but about direction, taking the raw energy of desire and channeling it into purpose. It is strength refined, strength with vision, strength that builds rather than destroys. Without self-control, success cannot last. Opportunities may come, but recklessness will drive them away. Wealth may be gained, but lack of discipline will scatter it. Relationships may begin, but careless actions will end them. Talent may shine, but without restraint, it will burn out too quickly. Self-control is the anchor that holds everything steady when the winds of life blow strong. Without it, no achievement can be sustained, because what is built on impulse is fragile. Self-control is also freedom. Many mistake indulgence for liberty, but indulgence is a chain disguised as pleasure. The one who cannot control their cravings is not free, they are bound. The one who cannot govern their emotions is not strong, they are easily moved by every wave of circumstance. True freedom comes when you can command yourself, when you can rise above impulses and act according to wisdom instead of emotion. That is the freedom to choose rightly, not because you must, but because you can. Every area of life demands self-control. In speech, it prevents words from becoming weapons. In finances, it prevents waste from stealing prosperity. In relationships, it prevents anger from turning love into resentment. In the mind, it prevents negative thoughts from taking root and shaping reality. The absence of self-control opens doors to regret, while the presence of self-control builds a path of peace and progress. The strongest people are not those who react to everything. They are those who do not allow circumstances to dictate their behavior. Anyone can lash out in anger or indulge in excess, but it takes strength to remain calm, to remain disciplined, to remain aligned with a higher vision. Self-control requires sacrifice, but that sacrifice protects you from greater losses. It demands patience, but that patience secures greater rewards. It asks for discipline, but that discipline creates lasting fulfillment. Life will always test your ability to govern yourself. There will be moments when anger tempts you to speak, when desire tempts you to act without thought, when fear tempts you to run. Strength is not found in giving in, it is found in standing firm, in choosing the higher road even when the lower road is easier. The victories of self-control are quiet, often unnoticed by others, but they build an unshakable foundation for a life of stability, dignity, and true strength. Money flows where discipline lives. Wealth is not only about how much you earn, it is about how well you manage what enters your hands. Money does not remain with those who treat it carelessly, for it seeks order, structure, and discipline. It flows toward the person who respects it, who directs it with intention, and who refuses to let impulse scatter it. Discipline is the invisible magnet that attracts money and keeps it in circulation within your life. Without discipline, money becomes like water poured into open hands. It slips through before it can be used with purpose. Discipline with money begins with awareness. Every coin, every bill, every transaction carries weight, and those who treat small amounts with care will find larger amounts drawn to them. Many wait until they have more before they practice discipline, but the truth is that discipline must come first. If you are careless with little, you will be careless with much. Money respects responsibility, and responsibility begins with consistency in how you handle what you already have. Impulse is the enemy of abundance. Countless fortunes have been lost not because of lack, but because of lack of discipline. Unnecessary spending, unchecked desires, and the constant need for instant gratification drain resources that could have multiplied. The disciplined person, however, resists the pull of every fleeting desire. They understand that saying no today allows them to say yes to greater things tomorrow. Money flows toward those who can command it, not those who are commanded by it. Discipline with money is also vision. It is the ability to see beyond the present moment and invest in the future. Those who lack discipline think only of today, but those who are disciplined build foundations for years to come. They save, they plan, they invest, and they direct their money with purpose. Their discipline creates streams of income instead of puddles that quickly dry up. Money flows where it knows it will be multiplied, not wasted. The connection between discipline and wealth extends beyond numbers. It reaches into character. A disciplined person approaches opportunities with patience, decisions with wisdom, and challenges with strategy. They do not gamble their stability on impulse, but build it brick by brick, choice by choice. Money flows toward this energy because it is safe in disciplined hands. Disorder repels prosperity, but order creates an environment where prosperity thrives. Discipline with money also requires gratitude. To appreciate what you have is to create room for more. The undisciplined person often overlooks blessings, chasing after what they do not yet possess, but gratitude keeps the heart aligned with abundance. The disciplined person manages money with care, not out of fear of loss, but out of respect for gain. This respect becomes a signal to life itself that more can be entrusted to them. Money flows where discipline lives because discipline provides direction. Without it, money has no purpose and no protection. It will leave as quickly as it comes, slipping away through careless habits and emotional decisions. But where discipline is present, money is given a task, a role, and a future. It becomes a servant instead of a master. It grows because it is guided, and it remains because it is honored. In the end, wealth is not simply earned, it is sustained. The true difference between poverty and prosperity is often the presence of discipline. Those who welcome discipline into their financial lives open the door to growth, stability, and freedom. Money flows where it feels safe, where it is directed with wisdom, and where discipline builds the structure for it to remain and multiply. Impulse spending is the enemy of abundance. Wealth is not destroyed by what you earn, but by how you choose to spend it. Many people work tirelessly, yet they remain trapped in cycles of lack because money slips away through thoughtless decisions. Impulse spending is the silent thief of abundance. It does not arrive in grand disasters, but in small, repeated choices that drain resources over time. Every unplanned purchase, every indulgence made without thought, chips away at the foundation of financial freedom. Impulse spending is born from emotion rather than intention. It arises in moments of excitement, stress, or desire, convincing you that the object in front of you is a necessity when, in truth, it is not. These fleeting urges promise satisfaction, but the satisfaction never lasts. What lingers is regret, along with the shrinking of resources that could have been directed toward greater goals. Abundance does not grow in soil watered by waste. It grows where discipline and foresight rule over passing cravings. Every dollar has a purpose, and when that purpose is ignored, wealth leaks away. The one who spends impulsively does not control money. Money controls them. Instead of being a tool for building, it becomes a chain of limitation. Abundance cannot live in such a place, for abundance is order, clarity, and intention. Impulse spending replaces order with chaos, clarity with confusion, and intention with regret. What could have become investment, growth, or security is lost to the fleeting satisfaction of the moment. Impulse spending is also rooted in a deeper illusion, the belief that possessions bring fulfillment. The truth is that abundance is not found in accumulation, but in alignment. To spend recklessly is to seek fulfillment in objects that cannot satisfy. The new quickly becomes old, the excitement fades, and the cycle repeats. This pattern keeps many locked in scarcity, no matter how much they earn. True abundance flows not from constant spending, but from purposeful stewardship. The disciplined soul understands that every purchase is a decision about the future. They resist the pull of impulse, not because they fear spending, but because they value their vision more than a fleeting desire. They see that every unplanned expense steals from the dreams they are building. The home, the business, the freedom, the legacy, all require the sacrifice of saying no to what does not serve the greater goal. This strength is what invites abundance, for abundance honors those who honor themselves. Impulse spending is also contagious. It affects not only your finances, but your environment. Relationships suffer when resources are wasted. Opportunities are missed when savings are drained. Stress multiplies when debts increase. Abundance cannot enter a life filled with constant financial tension. But when impulse is replaced by discipline, peace takes root. With peace comes clarity, and with clarity comes the ability to attract and sustain abundance. The enemy of abundance is not lack, but mismanagement. Abundance is not about how much flows in, but how much is preserved and directed. Impulse spending scatters wealth like seeds thrown on barren ground, while disciplined spending plants those seeds in fertile soil. The harvest of one is emptiness, while the harvest of the other is growth. Every choice to resist impulse is a choice to water the garden of abundance. To defeat the enemy of abundance, one must learn to pause. A pause allows desire to fade and reason to rise. It creates space to ask, does this serve my vision? Does this align with my values? Does this build or does it break? In these questions lies freedom, the freedom to live with intention instead of reaction. Abundance belongs to those who master this freedom, for they no longer trade their future for the fleeting pleasures of the present. A grateful mind multiplies resources. Gratitude is more than a feeling. It is a force. It is the quiet acknowledgement that what you already possess has value, and in that acknowledgement, its value grows. A grateful mind does not see scarcity, it sees possibility. It does not dwell on what is missing, but magnifies what is present. When you cultivate gratitude, you awaken an inner awareness that multiplies resources. What seemed small becomes sufficient, and what is sufficient becomes abundant. The ungrateful mind lives in blindness. Surrounded by opportunities, it only notices lack. Surrounded by blessings, it only complains of what is absent. This blindness leads to waste, for when you fail to recognize the worth of what you already have, you misuse it. Gratitude opens the eyes. It sharpens vision and allows you to see the potential in even the smallest resources. A grateful person can take little and make it much because they approach it with respect, creativity, and appreciation. Multiplication does not always come in the form of more possessions or more money. Often, it comes through expanded perspective. Gratitude multiplies by revealing hidden opportunities that the ungrateful would overlook. A grateful mind can take one skill and see 1,000 ways to use it. It can take a simple connection and transform it into a network. It can take a small resource and stretch it to meet a great need. Gratitude multiplies because it shifts focus from what cannot be done to what can be done. There is also a magnetic quality in gratitude. When you give thanks for what you have, you draw more reasons to give thanks. Life responds to the energy you carry, and a grateful energy invites increase. Gratitude says, I see the value in this, and that acknowledgement becomes an open door for greater supply. Those who constantly complain repel abundance, for complaint signals lack. But those who live in gratitude attract abundance, for gratitude signals readiness. Gratitude is also discipline. It trains the mind to recognize worth instead of dismissing it. A grateful person treats resources, no matter how small, as treasures. They care for them, maximize them, and honor them. In return, those resources expand. Consider the difference between someone who wastes because they feel entitled to more and someone who multiplies because they feel grateful for what is already present. One remains in cycles of lack while the other continues to grow. The multiplication of resources through gratitude can also be seen in relationships. When you show appreciation to others, they give more. Encouragement inspires loyalty, and recognition inspires effort. A grateful spirit multiplies the goodwill of those around you. Opportunities are not only drawn by skills, but by attitude, and gratitude is an attitude that unlocks doors. When you are grateful for small chances, greater chances are entrusted to you. Even within the self, gratitude multiplies inner resources. It creates peace, strengthens resilience, and expands creativity. A grateful mind is not easily shaken by challenges because it focuses on what is working instead of what is broken. From that focus arises strength to keep building, keep moving, and keep creating. Gratitude generates energy, and that energy becomes fuel for progress. Where others see walls, the grateful see stepping stones. A grateful mind multiplies resources because it multiplies vision, discipline, and energy. It is not that gratitude magically adds more, it is that it reveals how much more is already within reach. To the ungrateful, enough is never enough. To the grateful, even little can become overflow. Gratitude transforms perspective, perspective transforms action, and action transforms results. When you live with a grateful mind, you live in the flow of multiplication, where resources are never wasted and increase is always possible. Your emotions shape your energy, and energy shapes your outcomes. Every emotion you hold within carries a frequency, and that frequency determines the kind of energy you project into the world. Joy, peace, and gratitude radiate a light that attracts opportunities and connections, while anger, fear, and bitterness send out waves that repel the very things you desire. Life is not simply responding to what you do. It is responding to the energy that flows from who you are in each moment. Your emotions are not hidden forces, they are signals that shape the direction of your life. When your emotions are elevated, your energy rises. A hopeful heart walks differently, speaks differently, and acts differently. Hope draws in possibility, while despair closes doors before they are even opened. The person who carries joy becomes magnetic, attracting others who are inspired by their presence. But the one who carries resentment pushes people away, creating isolation and missed chances. This is the unseen chain between emotions and outcomes. What you feel creates the energy you send out, and what you send out returns to you multiplied. Emotions also influence the clarity of your decisions. When fear governs your emotions, your energy is scattered, and the choices you make are often rooted in avoidance rather than vision. But when peace governs your emotions, your energy is focused, and your decisions are anchored in clarity. The same situation can produce two very different outcomes depending on the emotional state you carry into it. Emotions color perception, and perception guides the actions that shape your reality. Energy is contagious. The emotions you hold spill over into the atmosphere around you, shaping the environments you enter. A person who walks into a room with calmness can settle tension. A person who enters with anger can stir conflict even without words. Your energy introduces you before you speak, and it leaves an impression long after you are gone. If you desire fruitful outcomes, you must be mindful of the emotional energy you bring to every space. When emotions are unchecked, they can sabotage progress. Anger can make you say what should never be said. Fear can make you avoid the very steps that lead to breakthrough. Doubt can make you abandon a path that was meant for your success. These emotions do not stay within. They radiate outward, shaping energy that blocks opportunities. But when emotions are mastered, they become allies. Courage fuels persistence, gratitude fuels generosity, and joy fuels creativity. These energies open doors and multiply results. Your outcomes are not shaped by effort alone, but by the spirit in which that effort is carried out. Two people may work the same hours and pursue the same goals, but the one whose energy is rooted in peace and optimism will often see greater results than the one whose energy is consumed with frustration and negativity. Energy amplifies action. It either strengthens your efforts or weakens them, depending on the emotions you allow to lead you. Emotions are signals, but they are not dictators. You may not always choose what you feel at first, but you can choose how long you allow that feeling to shape your energy. By pausing, breathing, and realigning, you take control of your inner state. When you choose gratitude over complaint, calm over panic, or faith over fear, you shift your energy, and with that shift, you redirect your outcomes. What was once resistance begins to turn into flow, not because the world changed, but because your energy did. The truth is that your life is a reflection of the energy you carry. Emotions shape that energy every day, moment by moment. If you nurture emotions that empower, your energy becomes a force that attracts growth, abundance, and peace. If you allow destructive emotions to linger, your energy weakens, and your outcomes mirror that weakness. To shape your destiny, you must first shape your emotions, for the state of your inner world creates the current that moves your outer world. Train your mind to focus on possibilities, not limitations. The direction of your thoughts determines the direction of your life. A mind fixed on limitations sees walls, barriers, and impossibilities, while a mind trained to focus on possibilities sees doors, pathways, and opportunities. Both minds live in the same world, but they experience completely different realities. The difference is not the circumstance, but the perspective. When you train your mind to lean toward possibility, you give yourself permission to rise above what others accept as final. Limitations will always present themselves. They come as doubts, setbacks, lack of resources, or the voices of others who say it cannot be done. But limitations are not the end. They are challenges designed to test your vision. A mind that focuses on limitations magnifies them, making them appear larger than they are. It becomes trapped, unable to see beyond the obstacle. But a mind that is trained to focus on possibilities looks at the same obstacle and begins asking, how can this be overcome? What other way is available? What lesson is hidden here? Possibility thinking transforms barriers into stepping stones. Training the mind requires discipline, for the natural tendency is to dwell on fear and lack. The mind must be guided like a muscle that grows stronger through repetition. Every time you choose to redirect your thoughts from what you cannot do to what you can do, you build mental strength. Every time you replace a thought of defeat with a thought of opportunity, you reshape your reality. With consistent practice, your mind begins to lean naturally toward solutions rather than problems. When you focus on possibilities, creativity awakens. The mind begins to generate new ideas, fresh perspectives, and innovative approaches. What once seemed impossible becomes a puzzle waiting to be solved. Many great breakthroughs in history came not from people who ignored limitations, but from those who acknowledged them and then chose to believe that another way must exist. Possibility thinking does not deny difficulty. It insists that difficulty does not have the final word. Focusing on possibilities also fuels resilience. When setbacks come, the limitation-focused mind says, "It is over." The possibility-focused mind says, "There is another way." This simple shift in focus determines who gives up and who perseveres. Those who train their minds to seek possibility endure longer, rise faster, and eventually succeed because they never close the door on what can still be done. Their outcomes expand not because life is easier for them, but because their focus keeps the door of opportunity open. Possibility thinking also transforms relationships and environments. When you believe in possibilities, you inspire others to believe as well. Your energy becomes contagious, encouraging people to rise above their doubts. Teams, families, and communities grow stronger under the influence of someone who refuses to dwell on limitations. In contrast, constant focus on what cannot be done drains hope and diminishes effort. The atmosphere of possibility attracts progress, while the atmosphere of limitation breeds stagnation. The mind is like a compass. Where you set it determines where your life travels. If you continually point it toward limitation, your journey will always feel confined. But if you continually point it toward possibility, new paths will reveal themselves. The difference between those who remain stuck and those who advance is not always resources or talent, it is focus. Possibility-focused people see doors where others see walls, and because they believe those doors exist, they find them. To train your mind is to take responsibility for the thoughts you allow to guide you. Limitations will always whisper, but possibilities speak as well. The choice is which voice you amplify. Every thought you nurture is a seed, and the harvest of your life reflects whether you planted seeds of limitation or seeds of possibility. By choosing possibility, you align yourself with growth, expansion, and progress, and life itself begins to respond in kind. Control does not mean suppression, it means direction. So often people misunderstand the meaning of control. They think to control something is to bury it, to silence it, or to force it into hiding. But true control is not about pushing things down until they explode later. Control is about taking raw energy, raw emotion, raw thought, and giving it a channel, a direction, and a purpose. Suppression breeds frustration and resentment, but direction creates growth and transformation. Imagine a river. If the water is blocked and suppressed, it begins to flood, destroying everything around it. But if the river is guided into channels, it becomes powerful, turning wheels, generating electricity, and bringing life wherever it flows. The same is true of your emotions, your desires, and your impulses. Suppression is a dam that eventually bursts, but direction is a channel that leads to strength and productivity. Control of emotions does not mean pretending you do not feel them. Anger, sadness, fear, and excitement are natural energies of the human experience. To suppress them is to deny yourself truth, but to control them is to pause, breathe, and choose how they will be expressed. Anger can be suppressed until it erupts in destruction, or it can be directed into determination that builds change. Fear can be suppressed until it paralyzes, or it can be directed into caution that protects you and wisdom that guides you. Control of speech does not mean silencing your voice. Words are powerful tools, and suppression only locks wisdom inside. But direction of speech means you weigh your words, choose them carefully, and release them with purpose. A tongue out of control wounds, but a tongue directed uplifts. A suppressed voice is powerless, but a directed voice moves hearts and shapes destinies. Control of desire does not mean rejecting every longing. Desire is not evil. It is a compass pointing toward fulfillment and growth. To suppress desire is to live numb, disconnected from your inner fire. But to direct desire is to focus it, refine it, and pursue it with discipline. Desire suppressed turns into frustration. Desire directed turns into achievement. Every dream ever built began as a desire given the right direction. Control of the mind does not mean shutting down thought. The mind races, imagines, and wanders. Suppression only builds tension, but direction gives thought focus, clarity, and creativity. A mind suppressed becomes restless, but a mind directed becomes powerful. The one who learns to direct thought shapes their reality, for energy flows where attention goes. Control is strength, but not the rigid strength of resistance, the flexible strength of guidance. Suppression weakens over time, draining energy and producing inner conflict. Direction strengthens over time, aligning energy and producing harmony. The person who suppresses battles themselves. The person who directs becomes whole. Even in relationships, control is misunderstood. To control someone does not mean to suppress their individuality. True control is about directing the flow of interaction with wisdom, patience, and love. A relationship full of suppression suffocates, but a relationship full of direction flourishes because energy is guided toward growth, respect, and shared vision. Life itself thrives on direction. The sun, the wind, the seasons, all operate with guidance and order, not suppression. When you align with this principle, you stop fighting against yourself. You stop suppressing emotions, words, dreams, or energy. Instead, you begin to channel them into forms that serve you and bless others. This is the essence of control, not denial, but mastery, not silence, but wise expression, not restraint alone, but purposeful redirection. Control does not mean suppression, it means direction. To live with this understanding is to free yourself from inner conflict and to step into alignment with your truest potential. It is the art of taking what is within and leading it toward its highest use until every part of you flows in harmony with the life you are called to create. Prosperity begins with order, order in speech, thought, and habits. Prosperity is not an accident, nor is it simply the result of luck or chance. True prosperity begins with order, for order is the foundation upon which abundance is built. Disorder brings confusion, wasted energy, and scattered results, but order creates clarity, focus, and steady growth. When you align your life in speech, thought, and habits, you create the right environment for prosperity to flourish. Order in speech is one of the most powerful yet often overlooked foundations of prosperity. Words are seeds, and every word you speak plants something into the soil of your future. Careless words of lack, doubt, and fear create weeds that choke abundance. But words of faith, gratitude, and expectation cultivate prosperity. Speech in order does not waste itself on gossip, complaints, or negativity. It is disciplined, purposeful, and aligned with what you desire to create. When your words are ordered, you begin to speak life into your goals and call opportunities toward you. Order in thought is equally essential. The mind left in disorder is like a room cluttered with useless objects. There is no space for creativity, no clarity for decision-making, and no direction for action. But a mind brought into order is a powerful instrument. Order in thought means training your mind to focus on possibilities rather than limitations, on solutions rather than problems. It means clearing out old, self-defeating beliefs and replacing them with thoughts that align with abundance. A disciplined, ordered mind becomes a magnet for prosperity because it constantly draws ideas, clarity, and direction. Habits are where order in speech and thought manifest in daily life. Prosperity is not built on one grand act, but on repeated, consistent habits that shape character and outcomes. Disordered habits waste time, energy, and resources. They leave you drifting, unprepared, and reactive. But ordered habits create rhythm and structure. Waking with purpose, managing money with discipline, working with focus, and resting with intention. These habits, repeated daily, lay the groundwork for prosperity to flow naturally. When speech, thought, and habits are in order, prosperity is not forced, it becomes inevitable. Disorder creates resistance, but order creates flow. Prosperity flows to the person who has cleared away inner chaos and aligned themselves with clarity and direction. Just as a house must have its foundation properly aligned before it can be built, a life must have its speech, thought, and habits ordered before prosperity can take root. Order also creates peace, and peace is fertile ground for growth. When your words are measured, your thoughts are clear, and your habits are steady, you eliminate the turmoil that distracts and destroys. With peace comes the ability to notice opportunities, make wise decisions, and act with consistency. Disorder blinds you, but order opens your eyes. Disorder drains your energy, but order multiplies it. Many people chase prosperity while ignoring order, but prosperity cannot thrive in chaos. Imagine pouring water into a broken vessel. It leaks out, no matter how much is poured in. Prosperity is the same. Without the vessel of order, it slips away. But when order is established, every blessing can be held, multiplied, and used wisely. Order is not rigidity, but alignment. It does not mean your life must be perfect or predictable. It means that your words support your vision, your thoughts reinforce your faith, and your habits carry you steadily toward your goals. When these three come into harmony, prosperity is not something you struggle for. It is something you live in. Prosperity begins with order, order in speech, thought, and habits. For the one who cultivates order within, prosperity has no choice but to manifest without. The world mirrors the state of your inner life. Life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. What you hold within, you project without. The world you see on the outside is nothing more than a reflection of the state of your inner life. A restless heart creates a restless experience. A peaceful spirit creates a peaceful environment. The mirror never lies, it simply reflects. If you want to change the reflection, you must change what is within. Your thoughts are the architects of your reality. When your inner dialogue is filled with worry, fear, and doubt, life begins to present circumstances that confirm those feelings. You start noticing problems, setbacks, and obstacles everywhere. Yet when your inner life is anchored in faith, gratitude, and expectation, the outer world responds with opportunities, blessings, and doors opening. The mind is a magnet, constantly attracting situations that align with its dominant thoughts. Emotions also shape the reflection of your world. If your heart is clouded with bitterness or anger, your outer world will mirror it back through conflict, misunderstandings, and strained relationships. But when you cultivate joy, compassion, and love, your environment begins to echo those qualities. People respond to you differently, opportunities feel lighter, and solutions come more easily. The emotional energy you carry silently radiates outward and draws experiences that match its frequency. Habits of the inner life create patterns in the outer life. A disorganized inner world produces a chaotic outer world. If your thoughts are scattered, your days become disordered. If your beliefs are filled with lack, your finances reflect scarcity. But when you bring discipline, order, and vision into your inner life, you find the outer circumstances slowly aligning. Prosperity, peace, and progress begin to flow because the inner vessel is prepared to hold them. The world does not give back to you what you demand. It gives back what you are. A person who feels unworthy will unconsciously attract situations that confirm their unworthiness. A person who believes in their value will see doors open where others see walls. Life is not biased. It is simply reflective. The state of your inner life sets the tone for everything that appears in your path. Even in relationships, the principle holds true. If you carry unresolved wounds within, you will find yourself mirrored by others who trigger those very wounds. If you cultivate healing and self-love, you begin to meet people who reflect that same energy. The outer dynamics shift as your inner state shifts, proving again that the world is always a reflection. Peace within creates peace without. Prosperity within creates prosperity without. Vision within creates opportunities without. To attempt to change the outer world while neglecting the inner world is like trying to change a reflection in a mirror by wiping the glass. The image will not shift until the source shifts. True transformation always begins on the inside. The world mirrors your inner life not as punishment, but as guidance. Every outer experience is feedback, showing you where your inner alignment rests. If you see constant struggle, it is a signal to bring peace within. If you see scarcity, it is an invitation to cultivate gratitude and abundance in thought. If you see repeated obstacles, it is a reminder to release fear and anchor yourself in faith. This principle empowers you because it places the key to change in your hands. You do not need to wait for the world to adjust itself before you can be happy, peaceful, or prosperous. Instead, by tending to your inner garden, your thoughts, your emotions, your habits, you begin to see the world transform before your eyes. The reflection shifts the moment you shift, for the mirror has no choice but to follow what stands before it. The world mirrors the state of your inner life, and when you understand this truth, you hold the power to change your reality from the inside out. True wealth is calmness, clarity, and wisdom. Many chase wealth as numbers in a bank account, possessions in a home, or titles attached to a name. Yet true wealth cannot be measured by material accumulation, for material things come and go, and they are subject to time, change, and loss. Real wealth is something deeper, something unshakable, something that remains even when circumstances shift. True wealth is calmness, clarity, and wisdom. These treasures cannot be stolen, devalued, or destroyed. They live within you, and once cultivated, they enrich every area of your life. Calmness is wealth because it brings stability in a world that is constantly in motion. A calm spirit is unshaken by temporary storms, unbothered by the noise of others, and untouched by panic. Calmness is strength under pressure, the ability to breathe and respond rather than react. When you carry calmness within, you hold a power greater than riches because calmness allows you to see clearly when others are blinded by fear. A calm person cannot be easily manipulated or thrown off course, for calmness is a shield and a compass. Clarity is wealth because it removes confusion and replaces it with direction. Without clarity, people waste years chasing what does not belong to them, pursuing paths that drain rather than fulfill. Clarity is the light that shows you where to step, what to choose, and what to release. It saves time, energy, and effort. A person with clarity may not have all the resources at once, but because their vision is clear, they make wise decisions that steadily lead them toward abundance. Clarity simplifies life, cutting away the unnecessary and highlighting what truly matters. That simplicity itself is wealth because it protects you from being scattered and lost. Wisdom is wealth because it multiplies every other resource. Without wisdom, money is wasted, opportunities are missed, and relationships are broken. Wisdom is the ability to see beyond appearances, to discern truth from illusion, to understand cause and effect. It is wisdom that teaches patience when rushing would destroy the harvest. It is wisdom that inspires generosity, knowing that giving opens the flow of receiving. It is wisdom that preserves peace in conflict and teaches restraint when emotions run high. Wisdom is the foundation of prosperity because it ensures that what you gain is not squandered but multiplied. Together, calmness, clarity, and wisdom create a form of wealth that cannot collapse. When you are calm, you preserve your energy. When you are clear, you direct that energy toward what matters. When you are wise, you use that energy in ways that bear fruit. This triad becomes a storehouse of riches that no misfortune can deplete. A calm, clear, and wise person carries wealth with them wherever they go, regardless of external circumstances. True wealth is not flashy, yet it commands respect. It does not seek validation, yet it influences powerfully. People are drawn to those who embody calmness, clarity, and wisdom, for such qualities bring trust and stability. Opportunities flow toward those who carry these treasures because they create harmony in their environment. Even material wealth, when handled with calmness, clarity, and wisdom, becomes sustainable and meaningful. Chasing wealth without calmness leads to burnout. Chasing wealth without clarity leads to emptiness. Chasing wealth without wisdom leads to ruin. But when calmness, clarity, and wisdom are the foundation, wealth in every form, health, relationships, finances, and inner joy grows naturally. You no longer need to strive or scramble because your inner state attracts and sustains prosperity. True wealth is calmness, clarity, and wisdom. It is the kind of wealth that remains when storms pass, when possessions fade, and when life tests you. It is not dependent on circumstance, but rooted in your inner being. When you cultivate these treasures, you become rich in the truest sense, carrying within you a fortune that cannot be taken away. Master the 4 M's, and life bends in your favor. There are forces within your control that determine the course of your life. Many chase luck, wait for opportunities, or hope for circumstances to change, forgetting that life responds to mastery of the inner self. Among the greatest disciplines are the 4 M's: mouth, mood, money, and mind. When you master these, life bends in your favor because the world mirrors the order you carry within. These 4 M's are not merely habits to adjust, but keys to unlock prosperity, peace, and power. The first M is the mouth. Words shape your reality. What you speak sets into motion the energy that creates outcomes. A careless tongue builds walls, sparks conflicts, and invites struggles that could have been avoided. But a disciplined tongue creates peace, opens doors, and attracts favor. Every word you speak is either planting seeds of abundance or seeds of lack. When you choose words of faith, gratitude, and wisdom, you shift the atmosphere around you. A mastered mouth means silence when silence is power, and speech only when words carry truth and purpose. The second M is the mood. Your mood colors your perception and influences your decisions. Anger multiplies problems, impatience clouds judgment, and bitterness pushes away blessings. But a calm and steady mood attracts solutions, opens the path of clarity, and invites harmony into relationships. When you control your mood, you control the energy you send into the world. Mastering mood is not suppression, it is direction. It is choosing to remain anchored even when storms rise, choosing peace instead of chaos, and faith instead of fear. A disciplined mood makes you unshakable, and life bends to those who are unshaken. The third M is money. Money is not just currency, it is energy that flows according to discipline. Impulse spending drains abundance, but wise stewardship multiplies it. When you direct money with order, gratitude, and vision, it becomes a servant that builds instead of a master that enslaves. Money flows where discipline lives, and when handled with respect, it grows. Mastering money means living by principles rather than desires, sowing seeds rather than wasting resources, and preparing for the future instead of being enslaved by the moment. Prosperity responds to those who honor what they already have, and abundance flows to the disciplined hand. The fourth M is the mind. The mind is the command center of your reality. What you dwell upon expands. A mind trained to see possibilities becomes a magnet for opportunities. A mind consumed with limitations creates walls that do not exist. Mastering the mind is the highest form of self-leadership. It is learning to focus on what builds instead of what breaks, to guard against fear-driven thoughts, and to cultivate gratitude and vision. A mastered mind generates ideas, solutions, and strategies that align with prosperity. It shifts the unseen, and the unseen shifts the seen. When the 4 M's come together, mouth, mood, money, and mind, you create alignment. Each supports the other. A disciplined mind guides the mouth. A disciplined mood strengthens the mind. Disciplined money brings peace to the mood, and a disciplined mouth creates the atmosphere for all to flourish. The 4 M's form a circle of mastery that bends life in your favor, for life is compelled to respond to order. Most people stumble because they master 1 M while neglecting the others. They may guard their money but lose control of their mouth. They may discipline their mind, but let mood sabotage their relationships. Balance comes from mastering all four. Together they become a shield and a magnet, a shield against chaos and a magnet for prosperity. Master the four M's, and life bends in your favor because you are no longer tossed by circumstance. You are guided by principle. You no longer chase outcomes. Outcomes chase you. The four M's align you with the flow of abundance, order, and peace, and once aligned, life has no choice but to yield in your direction.